We stopped at expressions. Now let's continue from there. In last session, we have added an extra column just to discuss about the expressions. And I hope you still remember what is constants, what is built-in fields, and what is parameters, and what is fields. And we have four more. One is data sets, one is variables, and another one is operators, and another one is common functions. What is data sets first? What it is listing here? Datasets will list all the datasets that are available in the report. In this report, there are 6 datasets. One is product DS, one is subcategory DS, one is category DS, and so on. What is the difference between the fields and the datasets? This is very important one. So when you have fields there, what is the use of datasets and what the datasets values, what dataset will return and what fields will return. This is very important to know. So if you can able to identify the difference between the fields and the datasets, then you can really play with these two categories. First, let me do one thing to demonstrate the same. Let me delete this column. Let me add 2 more onto the right. Okay, I have added 2 more columns. First one I will use it for fields, and second one I will use it for datasets expression. Okay, so I'll give the heading as field, which will be easy for you to identify which one is field and which one is dataset. And second one is I am giving as dataset. Okay, so this text box or this column, this is a table, right? So I have to call it as column. This column I'm going to use for fields. So let me go to the expression, and if I go to the fields, these fields will list only the columns that are assigned, that are present in the data set, which is assigned as the data set for this particular table. That means if you see, this is a table, right? And it will have properties, and you can set only one data set name. IMP underscore data set is what I have set for this. So whatever the columns that are present in that particular data set will be listed under fields. And if you select any field, like let's say tax amount here, so then what it will do is it will list, this is a table, right? So it will give you all the data that is present in the tax amount field next to the each row. So this is one field in the same data set. This is another field, this is another field, this is another field, and so on. This is the field that I have used, tax amount. Okay, so what I have given here is a field of a data set which is assigned to this table. That means all the columns will be in sync with this, right? If this column is having 10 values, this column will also have 10 values. If this field is having 10 values, this field will also have the 10 values. That's why if you assign a field, then it will give you the complete breakup data as per the previous fields that are available here. It is just like clicking on this and adding the tax amount. That's it. If you go to the expression, it will be the same. Is equal to fields of tax amount dot value is same as adding the field like this. Let me add field here. Tax amount I have added, right? Now if I go to the expression, you will have the same expression. Either that way or by coming here, you can add the field if you wish to. So this is about the fields. Now what is the data set? Let's see what this data set will do. This data set will list all the data sets that are available in the report. Here if you see, there are 6 data sets, and I told you in previous sessions, that a table can have only one data set. Remember? One table can have only one data set, and those columns are shown as fields here. And under data sets, you will have all the remaining. If you want to use anything, if you want to use any other value from other data set, you can make use of this data sets category. Here if you see adventure box data set, important IMP underscore data set, color data set, category, subcategory, and product. So if you take any data set, you will have fields, right? And in each field, a field can be either numeric or textual field. Can you imagine any other? Don't say images. Apart from that, you will have either textual field or integer fields, right? Integer or decimal, numeric values. So if your data set is having numeric values, then it will take sum. I've taken sum of fields of sales amount, comma, this is the data set. From this data set, get the sum of sales amount. That is what it means. So if I execute this, it will get the sum of sales amount from the data set and it will display the same throughout the report. So this is a single value expression. It will give either sum, or if it is a textual field, then it will give what we can say, it will give the first value or last value or something like that. So when you use these data sets, it returns only one value. Whatever you use from any data set, it will return only one value, and the same value will be placed across all the rows across the complete table. So that is the difference between fields and data sets. The same data set which we have under fields, IMP underscore data set, will also be available here. IMP underscore data set. But when you drag and drop it from the data set, then it read, okay, the user is expecting the first value of the English product name. So let's return the first value. Now I've selected the first, right? So if I go on preview it, it will return the first value of the product name. Whatever the first value is there, it will return the same and it will repeat the same throughout the complete table. So what it will do is a data set, if you use in expression, it returns a single value. You can use it in a table or you can use it in a matrix, wherever you use. It will return only one single value, and if table is having 1000 records, the same value will be repeated in all the 1000 records. Generally, these data sets will be used in text boxes, like to show how many, say, total sales or something like that. So if I go to the text box, here in the expression, I can show something like that. I can go to the data sets. I can go to the input, this one, sum of sales amount. Okay. Before that, I'll concatenate something. Total sales is, I'm writing a textual expression. This is a string. I'm concatenating this one. Okay. And I'm converting. Don't worry about these conversion functions. We will discuss about it. Now I've given a simple expression here in which I use the data set. Right? I use the data set category. Let me go to the last page. You can see total sales is this one. If I want to show on top of the report or something, wherever the user wants to see it, or wherever we want to highlight it to the user, we can keep it there so that it will give a clear picture to the user who views the report, saying that, okay, the total sales is. Right? For this kind of purpose, you can use the data sets in the expression. And I hope you understood the difference between the data sets category and the fields category in the expressions. Let me explain you in one more time. Let's say this is your table. What is the first thing you will do? You will assign a data set to this table. Okay? And this is your data set. Let's say you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 data sets. And you have used this first data set as the source for this table. So then, if you attach any field to this from the data set, then it will show in the rows. How many rows it has? It will show it just like select star from table. I'll show you the difference in SQL Server also. Okay. If you drag and drop color here, then it will show all the colors for each and every corresponding row. And instead of this, if you add one more column, and if you add a sum of some integer value from another data set here into this, then every row, how many rows it has, everything will repeat the same data, the sum of sales amount. And if you go and see this SQL Server, in SQL Server concepts, let me connect to SQL Server. Let me erase these drawings. Oops, I connected to analysis services. Let me connect to SQL Server. Okay, here it is. And let me go to the database. If you go to select star from dim product, and if you assign this output to any table, then each and every row, each and every column will act as a field. Is it clear? If I assign this select star from, if I use this select star from dim product as the query in the data set, and if I assign the data set to any table, let's say I have taken one new table here. Let me remove this, and I'm removing all the columns. I'm keeping only one column, and in this one column, what I'm doing is I'm using, first I have to set the data set name for this, right? So what I'm doing here is I'm taking only one column, that is English product category name. So I have only one table with only one column. I'm removing this column too, which has only one column, and I have given English product category name. So what it will do, it will show the English product category name, how many times it is available in the select statement, how many times it is returning using the select statement, that many times it will show the English product category name. Is it clear? This is field. This is field of the data set that is assigned as the data set name property for this one. If you see the properties here, the data set name property is set to IMP underscore data set, and hence all the fields can be used like this in that are present. All the columns that are present in the data set can be used as fields in the table. Now if I want one more field, what will happen? I need to add one more column, and I have to add whatever the field I want. If I add color, then both the columns will be coming. Bikes and silver, bikes and black, bikes and red, bikes and silver, whatever it is there in the database, the same thing will be shown here. If the database is having 60,000 records, the same 60,000 times it will be coming in the table. Now, if I want one more field, what I can do? Add one more and take whatever you want. Let's say I want to take sales amount, and if I click on preview, it will show these three columns. So these three columns, in the sense, three fields. Like that, if you have 100 fields, you can add 100 fields. It depends on your requirement. Now let's come to the data sets. How come this is different from data set? If I add a data set, let's say I'm adding a column to the right, I'm going to the expression. If I add a data set, that means I'm not getting any field, that is any column of the data set which is set as the default, as the data set name for this table, right? This is a third party one. I don't know how many columns will be coming. For example, let's say I have two queries. One is this one, or one is this one, okay, and another one is, let me take the query from here. Let's say this one, okay. So I have assigned this data set. Observe it carefully. I have assigned this data set to my table. So if I use sales amount or color or English product category name or anything that is present in this data set, then it will have same number of rows. Agree? I mean to say that if I see, this is my query and this is my data set. Query means nothing but data set. If I add sales amount, how many rows I will get? 61,638. And if I add tax amount, the second field, how many I will get? The same 61,638. And if I add third one, fourth one, fifth one, how many fields I add? The number of rows will not vary. Why? Because all these fields belongs to one data set, and hence the number of rows will remain same for all the fields. Correct? Now, this is my another data set. How many records are there for this? I have only 10. If I use this column here, okay, the different data set column, how many rows I will get? 10 or 100 or 1000 or 10,000. How many I will get? I have only 10 output, 10 records here in this one. If I use this, only this column will get only 10 records, and the remaining columns will be having 61,358 records or something around that, right? How can this one will be matched with the remaining columns here? Is it possible? So if you take two data sets, the number of records, the row will not match, and there is nothing to say that these two are matched. So that is why one table can have only one data set. One table can have fields from only one data set. So if you want to use anything else outside the data set, then you can use the data sets, either the first value or the last value or the sum of the value into numeric value, something like that. You can use only aggregate functions like first. How many it will return? It will return only one static value. I can place the same static value. I think there is no first in SQL Server. So it will return only one value. The same value will be shown across the 60,000 records. How many records? These first three, which belongs to the same data set, will fetch the same number of times. This will be repeated. Now I hope you understood why we cannot get the value or field from the different data set. Okay, why we cannot means it's just because the number of rows will be different and there is no mapping between these two. And why we need to use the data set? It's your wish. Use it or not. If your requirement says that last column should have the sales, okay, last column you need to have the sales, then go to the data set, click on the sum of sales amount. This guy will give you the sales of the complete table, right? Like this. It will be repeated throughout. So that is the difference between the field and the data set. Where you can use this data set, I'll tell you an example. Let's say you want to calculate the percentage. What is the percentage of sales amount? How can you calculate the percentage? How many of you know the formula, the percentage? If anyone remembers, let me know. What is the formula for percentage here? Guys, this is too much. The percentage formula for anything is sales amount divided by total into 100. You know this is the sales amount, right? And I'm adding sales amount here. So what it will return is, it will return the sales amount for each product and each color. It is coming correctly perfect. And what you want to give in the divided by total sales. How can you get the total sales? How can you get the total sales here? The total sales can be get using data sets. So if you go to the data set, it will give you the sum of sales amount. That means it's a total. It's the total sales amount that is available in the particular data set. So if you go and if you execute it, it will give you the percentage 0.000 something. And if you give into 100, that will do percentage formula complete. So sales divided by total sales into 100 is the formula. So here I have to do into 100, right? 100 into this divided by this. This is nothing but percentage. Let's see whether it calculates properly or not. Now you can see it is calculating perfectly, 0.01 something something. And if you want to round it, if you want to make it to 2 decimal, you have a format. If you select this particular text box, then go to the properties, you will find a property called format. In that format, if you give hash 00, then it will give you, hash means any number, it can be any number, .00 means give up to only 2 decimal values. Here you can see it will be formatted to 2 values like 0.01 0.00, 0.01, something like that. It is giving you the percentage value. If you can arrange the text box size properly, then it looks even better. So this is how you can make use of the fields as well as the data set categories in the expressions. Now let's see the next category, that is variables. So the variables, there is no variables here. Report has no variables. Then what is the use? How can I add? Right click, I cannot add it here. There is no option to add the variables here. When I right click, it's not showing any option to add a new variable. So then how can I add the variable? Where can I add the variable and what is the use of the variable? Before going to that, what is variable? Variable is nothing but a value which will be changing during the execution of the program. That's the generic definition. So how can you create a variable, or where you can create the variable? That's the first thing we have to discuss, and then we can go to discussion about how to make use of the variables in the expression. To create the variables, just select this, okay, go to the report properties. You can see an option called variables. And here you can add, I can give the name of the variable like Rupesh count, and my count is 100, let's say. So the value of this, with the variable name is Rupesh count, the value is 100. Okay. Now you know the sales amount. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna add one more field, for which I'll change the expression in such a way that sales amount into the variable, whatever the variable that is having the value, I want to multiply it with the same. So this is the fields of sales amount, whatever I have selected. And if I go to the variables, you can see the Rupesh count variable. Variables of Rupesh count dot value. If I click on OK, now what will happen is it will multiply the sales amount with 100 and it will give you the result. If you see 3399.990.9900, that means 339999 is the output. So the variables will be helped. See, let's say you have something like some value which needs to be used in many places. Okay, let's say you have a report. In this report, you have some 10 to 15 tables, and in each table you need to use a value like into 100 or into 1000 or something, some value you want to use. So instead of using it or giving the same again and again, I'll show you what the problem will come if you use it again and again. Let's say you have 10 tables, as I said. 1 in your report, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 tables you have. Let's say 12 tables in together. In one report you have 12 tables. And in the first table you want to do into 100 for a particular column. Here also into 100, here also into 100, here also into 100, here also into 100, and so on. What you can do, you will just write the expression like add the field and into 100 will do the job. What if you want to change it to 1000 from 100? Again you have to go and change it in every table, correct? If you want to change it to 1000, okay? And tomorrow if you want to change it to 2000, and day after tomorrow if you want to change it to 3000. So every time whenever you change, it's a hectic job. You have to go to each and every table wherever you're doing that into 100 or something like that, right? So instead of that, if you use variable, what is the advantage if you use variable? If I use variable in all the tables, like some sales amount into variable, just like I have given here, okay, then what I can do is if it is changed to 100 or 1000, then I can go to the report properties, go to the variables, and I will simply change it to 1000. Okay. Now if you observe, the sales amount will be multiplied into 1000. Earlier it was doing into 100. Now you can see it is doing with 1000. Let's say I want to change it to something like into 0.1. Instead of 1000, I want to make it as 0.1. Now if you execute the report, it will be changing, it will be calculating based on the variable value, whatever we have given. The advantage is you don't need to go and change it in many places. If you have a same functionality or same value, you need to multiply by in many places. Then instead of going for the hard-coded values in all the places, better declare a variable and use the variable. Okay, this will be very helpful when you want to make the changes in future to the variable values. So that is about the variables. Now let's see the next option that is available in the expression, that is operators. What is meant by operators? You can see arithmetic operator and comparison operator, concatenation operator, logical bitwise and bit shift and so on. Okay. This arithmetic operator means it will check, all these operators are used to check or while evaluating the function, mainly used while if condition is written. If something is greater than, if mod of something, or if sales amount is less than 100, or if sales amount is greater than 100, or if sales amount is equal to 100, all these are operators. Whatever you are using in if case, in most of the cases we will use these operators in if case. I'll show you an example how the arithmetic operators will be used in if case so that you can easily understand. If sales amount, I'm taking sales amount dot value comparison, let's say comparison, not equal to 100, 1000, then do something. If it is equal to 100, do this part. There will be true part and false part, right? This will be either evaluated to true or false. What should happen if it evaluates to true? That means the sales amount is not equal to 100. What should happen? Show 1000 there. 1000 or 10,000? 10,000. Else show 100 there. So what I am telling the server is, if the sales amount is not equal to 100, show 10,000 hard-coded value. Else show 100. Let me execute this and see what it will display. It is displaying only 10,000 for everything. Why? Because nothing is equal to 100. Right? I've given a condition where it is not equal to 100, show 10,000. If it is equal to 100, show 100. It is nowhere really equal to 100, and that is why you will get only 10,000. Right? Let me do one thing. Let me give this value, 3399.99, and then check how the expression will be. So in the expression, what I am doing here is, if the sales amount is not equal to 3399.99, then show 10,000, else show 100. Right? If you go here, it is showing 100 here. Why? Because it is equal to 3399.99. It is showing 10,000 here. Why? Because the sales amount is not equal to 3399.99. And again here it is showing 100. Why? Because it is equal to, see, in the true part and the false part you can write whatever you wish to. Whatever you are interested in, you can write that. Let me show you something else here. Instead of this, Rupesh is dummy. Wife is mummy. So I'm asking to show some hard-coded text here, string values. It will show as per the condition evaluation, the first if condition evaluation. So here it is evaluated to true, that is why it is showing Rupesh wife is mummy. Here it is false, so Rupesh is dummy. So something like that. Whatever you give, whatever you want to give, you can do that. And I will show you one funniest, beauty, the power of SSRS expressions. Here, instead of going for some hard-coded values, what you can do is, you can show some values also, some fields also. So if it is true, if it is false, then show category name. If it is true, then show subcategory name. Let's see how it will show and what it will show. Wherever it is true, you can find it will show the categories. The bikes is the category for everything, but bikes is showing only for few. Why? Because wherever it is false, then only it is showing bikes, the category name. Wherever it is true, I am asked the server to show sales amount there. Sorry, not sales amount. I asked to show product subcategory name. And in the same way, you can go for some numerical columns also. Like if it is evaluated to true, that means not equal to so and so, then show sales amount, else show tax amount. Try to understand whatever you can write in the true part and the false part of it. You can write whatever you wish to. So here it is showing tax amount. This is the tax amount. Why? Because it is evaluated to true. So here it is showing sales amount. Here it is showing sales amount. Here it is again tax amount. And here it is tax amount. So this is how you can play with the expressions. And you can use the same column in both, like show the sales amount into 100 in this case. In this case, show the sales amount by having it divided by 100. Can you see the difference what I have given in the expression? The true part, it will multiply with the value, the sales amount with 100. Here it is false part. So it is taking the sales amount divided by 100. It is true part. So it is taking sales amount into 100. Can you see the power of if condition here? You can play with that if condition and the expressions. So, and these operators plays a major role in the if conditions and in the expressions. And if you see, I explained one that is not equal to. In the same way, if you want to raise the number, what this one will do? Sales amount power of 2 means it will be sales amount into sales amount. Sales amount power of 3 means, what is 2 to the power of 3? 2 to the power of 3 means 2 into 2 into 2. Right? In the same way, 3 to the power of 3, 3 into 3 into 3. 4 to the power of 4, 4 into 4 into 4 into 4. In the same way, if you want to go for power, then if you give power of 2, then that means it will be taken sales amount into sales amount. Power of 3 means sales amount into sales amount into sales amount. 4 means sales amount into sales amount into sales amount into sales, whatever field you give. If you give tax amount power of 4, tax amount into tax amount into tax amount into tax amount. I'll give you one simple example. 2 to the power of, where is that? I'm giving 2 to the power of 3. So what should happen? It should take 2 into 2 into 2. That means the output should be 8, and it is showing 8. So this is how you can make use of these arithmetic operators, and you can easily understand what this operator is. This is for multiplying two values. I have already showed you how to use this, and this is divide the number. Okay, divide and it will return floating, and this is it will return integer value. What is the difference between the integer value and the floating value? Let's say 2 divided by 3 or 4 divided by 3 I'm using the first one. So 4 divided by 3 I have given. So this should return a floating value. That means with the decimal points. 1.333333 and so on. Now I'm going for the another divided by, that is which returns only integer. You can see in the operators, it is the backward slash, and if I give this 4 divided by 3, what it will do is it will return only integer value, that is 1, and the remaining decimal will be taken out. So this is how you can, just by seeing the example, you can easily understand, you can practice it, and you can easily understand what each operator will do. And the next one is modulus. Right? Modulus means it will give only what we call the decimal, the remainder. If you give modulus, you know, right, what is meant by remainder? I forgot mathematics, man. I read it long back. 2 divided by 3 was like ones are 2 and the remainder is 1. So this remainder will be given if you use modulus. If you give mod of 3, some value mod of 4 mod of 3 if you give, it will be like this: 3 and 4, 3 ones are 3 and the remainder is 1. So let me give one example and see whether it is working fine or not. 4 mod of 3. I want to do a 4 mod of 3. Let's see what it will return. As per the mathematics I have calculated here, the remainder is 1 and the same remainder is showing here. If you don't know, let's try. If you want to give any big value and find out the remainder of that, let's say I'll give something like this: 334. Let's find out what will be the remainder of this particular modulus. It is 113 is the remainder. So this is how you can use the operators in SSRS expressions. And let's see what other operators we have here. And plus and minus, if you ask me to explain, and if I explain, I'll be the worst trainer in the world, I think. Right? Do I need to explain plus and minus? Please don't say yes here. And the comparison operator, I showed you an example already. If it will be used mostly in if condition. And for everything, you will find an example here. For less than, if you select this less than, you can give, you can find the example like sales sum in yearly income dot value less than 25,000, something like this. You can check it. And less than or equal to, like greater than or equal to, and not equal to. And like operator, you can see in double quotes you have to give star. That means it can start with T, but it can have anything after that T. So that is the like operator. This is how you can check like operator. And is operator is used to check two column values. If the first name is last name, you can see here. If the first name is last name, then do something. Or if the first name is not equal to last name, do something else. It will be like this. Again, if you, as I told you, all these operators mainly used in what we can say, if conditions. If sales amount is equal to tax amount, do something. Write equal. Else write not equal. Right? This is a simple function to check whether the sales amount and tax amount is equal or not. It is not equal. Obviously, it will not be equal in the cases. So it is returning not equal. In the same way, you can go for is operator, and if you want to compare two textual fields like textual category name is subcategory name. Will it be equal in any case? It will not be equal. Subcategory name is different to the compared to the category name. So it will show not equal in all the cases. And this is how you can go for different operators. Let me check for the remaining categories. And concatenation, this is very important. If you want to concatenate, if you observe it here, ampersand generates a string concatenation of two expressions. That means it will concatenate two strings. I'll show you an example here. I'm taking product category, okay, and I'm concatenating. I've given ampersand, that is concatenating with product subcategory. Let's see what it will return. So it will concatenate these two and it will return as one single string, that is bikes, mountain bikes, bikes, road bikes, bikes, road bikes, bikes, mountain bikes, and so on. It is returning in one single just by concatenating. Concatenating means joining two strings. So it is concatenating. And if you want to concatenate space between these two, what you have to do? You have to give double quotes and again concatenate it. So this string value is concatenated with the space using ampersand, and the outcome of these two is concatenated to subcategory using this ampersand. So now what I have done is I have injected space between these two: bikes, mountain bikes, bikes, road bikes, and so on. If you want to inject instead of space, if you want to have some special character, you can have like this, something like this. Whatever you want, you can set it. Whatever the special characters you want, you can set it. Now this will be injected between these two string values. So this is the concatenation operator. And not only ampersand, you can also use plus. Plus also acts as concatenation operator. Remember, I've used plus here instead of ampersand, and even plus acts as the concatenation operator. And remember the one more point, when you use two textual fields, the plus acts as concatenation operator. Okay, it concatenates the two strings and it will return the data. And if you use two numeric fields like the sales amount and tax amount, this plus will act as sum operator. So if the two fields are numeric, then it will add those two and give the value. If the two fields are string, it will concatenate those two and it will give you the concatenated string output. What if one is string and another one is integer? What will happen? Will it concatenate or will it sum? What will happen? We'll wait for the result to come here, right? It will throw error saying that, man, one is string and another one is integer. I cannot concatenate and also I cannot add it. So this is why it is throwing error. So in this case, what you can do is you can convert the integer to string so that both will become string. When both become string, what will happen? When both becomes string, what will happen? The plus operator. It will concatenate. It will concatenate and give you the result. You can see 3399.9900 is a string now. That string is concatenated with another string, that is silver here in this first column, first row case. In the second row, it is black with some another value. So this is how you can make use of the plus operator as both sum value, both or to sum the values or to concatenate the strings. And logical bitwise, you know this is very well. In if conditions, you will be using this. Something like if sales amount greater than 500 and sales amount less than 900, then do something like type good, else type super good. So instead of one single condition, I am doing two conditions, and I've used logical AND operator here. AND operator means this should be true and also this should be true. Then only this will be executed. Else the second one will be executed. Okay, two conditions. Like that you can give 20 conditions. Who cares? It depends on your requirement. In the same way, you will be having not. Not can be used like this. If this is evaluated to true, then it will take as false. The reverse, the negation will be taken. Not means if it is true, then it will take false. If it is false, it will take true. Okay, if not of something. And the third one is OR, exclusive OR, and also or else. And also means perform short circuiting logical conjugation of two. This and this should be true, and I mean I've never tried this. Let me try this. Perform short circuiting logical conjugation on two expressions used to perform short circuiting logical disjunction of two. Man, I've never tried this. I'll try this and let you know. But remaining items you are pretty much familiar, right? So now if both are true, then only the good will be shown. If the both are false, then it will show, sorry, any one is false, then it will show super good. So the first case, something is failed, so it is showing super good. In the second case, it is greater than 500 and less than 900. So both are evaluated to true, and hence the true part is executed here. And if you see the next operator we have here is bitwise shift operators. So this is mainly hexadecimal value calculations. But see, if you go for left shift of 4, okay, then what it will do is it will take this integer value and convert it into hexadecimal, and it will take shift 4 bits and then again convert it to integer. This is very tricky one. Um, Let me take a notepad. Let's say you have 575 as the value. So the hexadecimal value will be something like this. I'm poor in that one. Don't expect the correct value. It will be something like this hexadecimal value. Okay. If you give left shift of 4, then left side it will take 4 values out. It will remove this. Then this will convert this value back to integer. So it will become some odd value. You not even expect some different value will come. So the shifting will be happening like this, and this one will be used only in scientific related projects and all, which I have never worked, and you also, I don't think that you'll be working on such kind of projects. So the bit shift means I'm giving you a hint. Let's say for sales amount, I'm taking sales amount here. Okay, I'm using left shift of, I'll give 5. What value you will expect for each sales amount? Let's see, the value what you expect will be entirely different. You can see this is 3399.9900. The left shift of 5 has changed the value to 108800, and here 699.0982 has become 22368. So this is this generally you won't use these operators. I have never used this at least, and just remember. Okay. So this is about the different operators we have, and if you see there are a lot of functions. It is very difficult to cover all the functions. I will be covering high level and most frequently used functions, and remaining functions whenever you find time, just select that. You will find this description here and an example here. You can try it out. Right? That will be a good assignment kind, practice kind of things for you guys if you practice it on your own. I'll explain something around 20 to 30 functions in next session. That's it about the operators, and that's it for this session. And in next session we'll discuss about the common functions of the expressions with which the expressions will be completed. And that's it guys for today. Have a good day and good weekend. Bye bye.